Why does water spout hurt so much? You have no HP left. That's not fair. Hello everybody! To get far away from the ground, this week I decided to use a Pokemon that comes from space and even levitates. Since rock resists fire, Lunatone resisted its fiery entrance into our atmosphere and can be called a proper meteorite. Quick summary of the rules. I can only use my starter in combat, I can't use items in combat, I can't raise my evasion, and I can't use cheats or glitches. Ignoring the legendaries, Lunatone is one of the best Pokemons I have used on the channel. It has a good number of weaknesses to very common types in Emerald, like Dark and Water, but on the other hand has very good special attack, at least for my standards, and most importantly it gets access to one of the best moves in Gentry. Since it is part rock, Lunatone will also not have any issues in the early game, since it resists normal attacks. A good example is the first fight with May. I did not level up, and yet her Pokemon can only do very little damage even after lowering my defense. Thankfully, Lunatone starts with Tackle, so I don't have any issues with the Dark Pochiena from the Grunt in the forest. For some reason, Levitate does not stop Sand Attack, even if it is Ground type. But it did not matter, so we can start the fight for the first badge against Roxanne. At this point, I learned Confusion, which is special, so you already know how the fight against her went. Lunatone's start is very good since it has all the tools needed to succeed. Nosepass is a bit more troublesome since it leaves a few hits and does decent damage with a Rock Tomb, but eventually she goes down too. All the potions in the world can't save you, Nosepass. Once we defeated the first gym and did the usual Pico side quest, we can take on the optional fight against May. Her team is not great, but all of her teams would have been destroyed by confusion at this point, so that was easy too. After getting that free XP, we can make our way to Dewford, and here, since I felt confident enough, I did Brawly now. His moves are neutral on me, but mine are super effective on him, so this fight should not be that hard. Turns out I was right, and he was quite a bit easier than Roxanne. After delivering the letter to Steven Rock, we have to save the captain from the two Aqua member grunts. I am sorry for them, but they have no chance. I can even use Rock Throw, which is not that accurate, but if I hit them, it doesn't even count as a contact, so no rough skin damage for me today. After wiping the floor with them, we have to listen to Archie for a while before he leaves with the other two dudes, and we can move on to the next fight with May. I was not super worried about this one, but a crit from Grovyle could be scary. Her other two Pokémons don't really matter since Rock Throw is super effective. The starter does a good amount of damage with Pursuit, but not nearly enough to take me down. Time for what might be the most annoying fight in the game. Watson is next, and as usual for him I equipped a Cherry Berry, because I know that the Magneton will have the time to paralyze me at least once. I could have cheesed him with hypnosis, but the low accuracy did not inspire me. Overall, it was an easy fight, so I do not regret not using it. Once we have the third badge in our pocket, it's finally time to take on a more challenging foe. Maxi has a Mightyena, who is the first serious Pokemon who is immune to our best move. He also lowers my attack, so I do less damage with my other stab move. It was not exactly fun, but thanks to my extra levels, I got through it without having to reset. From here, I actually decided to do something different and dodge most trainers, so my level by the end of the game should be a bit lower than usual. Flannery is next, and I am not particularly worried about her because Psychic. That move is just too good for this point in the game, and combined with stab and our good special attack, there are few things that can leave it. Torkoal is one of them, surprisingly, but it still can't last long without potion spam from her trainer. After we obtained 4 badges, we can face our dead, and just like Mowile, I resist his moves, but I am a bit more worried this time around. I have a lot less defense, but it did not matter because I can outspeed all of his Pokémons, and the only thing that leaves a Psychic is Slacking, who does a lot of damage but not enough to stop my rampage. With that gym cleared, we got Surf and surfed all the way to the second last fight against our rival May. I did not expect her to be very problematic, and that was mostly the case. What surprised me a little bit is that Grovyle managed to leave one hit from confusion and then chunked away at my HP with the Leaf Blade. That's what happens when you don't play seriously and use weak moves. Once we are done with her, it's time for Winona. Once again, I supposedly have the type advantage. That's sort of true in a way, mostly because with Levitate I can ignore Altaria's Earthquake. The only annoying mon is the Skarmory, because it is neutral to my shiny new toy Ice Beam, and it also has Steel Wing, but a crit shuts down that conversation very fast. Her last Pokemon is weak to Ice, so that is over. Now that we have Fly, we can backtrack easier and have to go stop Maxi again. His team is a bit stronger than last time, but we are also stronger, mostly because I have Ice Beam now, a special move who is neutral against his Mightyena, so that wolf is not a problem anymore, and neither is the rest of his team, who gets swept easily. Unfortunately, we were too late to stop him from waking up Groudon. Totally unrelated, next I decided to do the last fight against May in Lily Cove. Unfortunately, she is very weak, especially because Ice is super effective against half of her team. The remaining half is not composed of great Pokémons, so that was not a very interesting fight, to be honest. Next are Tate and Liza, and here is where I had to forced reset. It's only 3 times, but that's still more than the rest of the game. The main problem is that since my level is lower, Ice Beam does not have quite enough power to take down their Pokémons, and since they survive, they have the opportunity to slowly chip me down. In the successful attempt, nothing crazy happens, just a bit better targeting on my part, and I get a tiny bit lucky because hypnosis misses, but it was about time given its poor accuracy. I don't think the citrus berry was even needed this time around. Once I defeat next week's Pokemon, I can finally obtain their badge and move on with the main story of the game. Next up is the fight where we help Steven. As usual, this fight is kinda boring. There are a few scary Pokemons, but I can just use Calm Mind once or twice and then be mostly fine against them. Or not? Why did I not set up with the most broken move in the game? Who knows? It was not exactly a mistake since I don't need it, but it would have made the fight a little bit safer and probably quicker since I would do more damage to them. Sometimes these guys can mess you up with RNG, but today it was not the case, so after a couple more attacks I can move on with the next major fight in the game. By using Dive, we can reach Archie, who is about to use the red orb to wake up the blue Pokemon. Certified genius over here. This time his team is a little scary only because Sharpedo resists ice and is immune to psychic, so I have no way of taking it down fast. But other than that, there was nothing to write home about. After he is defeated too, Kyogre wakes up anyway. So as usual, we have to climb a not yet crumbling sky pillar and ask Rayquaza for help. The first mystery dungeon totally did not copy this plot point. Whatever, I still like the game, and if you do too, leave a comment to show your love for it. After we saved the world, we can finally start the last gym. I swear someday I will learn my lesson and not set up against Ladvisk. After she confuses me, I take it out and proceed to the next Pokemon. Thankfully, I do not get punished too hard for that misplay and just take a bit of damage against the seal. I, the fool, thought that the fight was over, but then Juan sent out Kronaast, who, much like Sharpedo, is a pain to deal with my current moveset. Thanks to the boosts, he goes down anyway, and since we collected all the badges in the region, we can now enter the Victory Road, where Wally catches up to us. His team is not bad, but unfortunately for him I have Ice Beam. I maybe should have used Calm Mind, since two of his Pokémons are going to leave a hit for sure. But other than that, his team is not a big deal. The level might not show it, but I swear I skipped a lot of trainers compared to what I usually do. After Wally is defeated, I can start the league, and the fourth member might be the most problematic one this time. I can't use Stab Psychic because he specializes in the dark types. Fortunately, I have Ice Beam as a backup, but it's not as reliable since it is not Stab, and also, much like Juan, he has a Kronaast too who resists it. Fortunately for me, he did not do much, and the only sand attack he used did not end up mattering much in the end, since I did not miss a whole lot. Once the Absol falls too, we can move on to Pheobe, who uses ghost types. For her I was a bit too cocky, and surprisingly her lead Dusclops, after he stops protecting, leaves a hit. She did not use curse one time. Then I should have set up while she healed, but did so the next turn, and she still did not curse me. I finally stopped fumbling the bag and take it out. I thought it was smooth sailing from here, but it turns out that her second Dusclops also survives a hit and almost takes me down with a Shadow Ball crit. Fortunately I live, but I thought I would not be able to get past Sableye. Well, I was wrong again, so somehow I snatched the victory from the jaws of defeat. Next is Glacia, and at least she is a little bit easier than the rest. I can set up against her lead. I risked a paralysis from a body slam, but I completely forgot about items, so I am glad RNG was on my side. Hail kept chipping me every turn, but that is not a problem, as long as Wall Rain does not survive, because I am not sure if I can take a surf from her. I think I do, because Calm Mind also raises special defense, but I don't have to find out, as it goes down in one shot. The last Elite Four member is Drake, and while he looks scary, he is not that bad. Unfortunately, I got slowed down by Rock Tomb in the first turn, but then Lunatone cosplayed Neo because I pulled out all the stops to not get hit. Salamence misses Rock Slide. Kingdra sets up Dragon Dance instead of attacking, and Flygon uses Earthquake, who is ignored because of Levitate. The only one who can land a finger on me is Altaria, but he can't do much with a normal move. After wiping Drake off of the planet, we have just the champion left. You might think that since he specializes in water types, this fight is going to be difficult, but you are underestimating the power of Calm Mind. Since it also increases my special defense, I can take a few hits from their moves. Even if that's the case, and he has no HP left, Wailord still hurts a bit with the water spout, so I could not set up that much, but a couple of boosts should be enough to sweep his team. Fortunately, the champion does not have a Kronaast or a Sharpedo, so I am free to spam Psychic to my heart's content. Thanks to the boosts, nothing survives a mind-breaking attack, and with a few more hits I can defeat Wallace and officially beat the game using only a Lunatone. As I predicted, it was quite easy. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget the bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. As always, all feedback in the comments is very welcome. See you next week. Bye!